what do you do when life hits your hypnosis clients? So when someone like you've worked with, etc., and the problem's gone, like their problem's gone, anxiety is gone, or whatever, and suddenly something happens, I don't know, their loved one goes into a hospital, right? And it all starts again. So what do you do? And then they say like, oh, anxiety came back. Do you wait for the loved one to recover, or do you do another session? Well, these are a couple of options, right? So this is what I like to do when it comes to life events happening. Obviously, if you have just worked with that client and now this happened, you might want to offer them a next session, and you might want to kind of disconnect the life events from the problem. So, for example, some anxiety in these sorts of things, these sorts of events, is kind of expected, isn't it? It's kind of normal. It's like you're not going to be like cold as a stone when your loved one in a hospital. That's normal. But if the anxiety is like accelerating to the point where it's becoming like panic attacks, etc., etc., it means you have not actually addressed all of the knots. You have not untied all of the things. And what do I mean about that is like you need to then untie the knot where it's somewhere in their subconscious that they believe that if something negative happens, the panic attacks will return, for example. You don't just want them to be okay when the life is going positively, because they need to have these skills to be able to properly cope with whatever negative events life throws at them, because that's life. So if you disconnect the belief that when they experience some sort of a negativity in their life, the panic attack is going to happen, or when they experience some sort of a negativity in their life, procrastination is going to happen, etc., etc. You want to disconnect that. And as I said, negative emotions and everything is actually part of life. So you can't really expect the client to constantly feel positive, and that the problem is not going to appear only when they are positive, because they need to be able to deal with everything even when they are feeling negative emotions. So how do you disconnect this belief from that, if I have negative emotions in life, or if some negative event happens in life, I will then have a panic attack. I will then procrastinate, or I will then have my anxiety through the roof, or I will then won't be able to sleep, for example. So the way we can do it in advanced conversational hypnosis is through questioning what they would rather. So one of the questions that I ask, and this is a hypothetical question, and that I teach in the ACH level 2, and it's would it be okay for you if you have resolved the anxiety, however you were still feeling these negative feelings when it is appropriate? And majority will say yes, because everyone really understands that they cannot constantly be positive, because that is denial, and that creates different types of problem, right? Okay, so that's one of the questions. And then you keep questioning until the knot is untied, because do they always need to lose, for example, sleep when something negative is happening in their life? do they? Because they probably think that, oh, that's normal. I will lose my sleep. I won't be able to fall asleep if this loved one of mine is in the hospital. Okay, so that's normal to think, but does it actually have to be that way? And also, does it mean that they care less if they allow themselves to sleep and to not overthink before the night? Because if you really, really question your client, you will probably find that it's not only the worry that keeps them awake, but it's probably also all sorts of imaginary situations that they are imagining in their heads, how awful is gonna come out, how awful it is at the moment for their loved one, and how bad and dark the future is. So you question all that, you question their beliefs, and you also question, what would the best case scenario be? Because they haven't thought about the best case scenario, because if they did, they wouldn't be as worried, because what they're doing at the moment, they are thinking negatively about everything to the extent that is over worry, to the extent where they are like making these scenarios in their heads. So they might just need to understand that the negative emotions can still be there, the negative event can still be happening, but I don't have to be overthinking and over worrying about this. Like there is, what is the amount of worry that is healthy for you, that shows you and shows your loved one that you care? Because a lot of the times they just like overload themselves with the negativity and with the worry, overthinking, anxiety, etc., etc. They build it up. So what is the healthy amount? So these are just like a few examples that I thought of, but obviously go with your intuition and just question their reality, question their anxiety, overthinking, over worrying, catastrophizing everything. Does it have to happen when a negative event is happening in their lives? Is that actually necessary? Does it mean you care less? So I hope this helps, especially for the people who are already practicing advanced conversational hypnosis. And if you're not practicing advanced conversational hypnosis and you're curious what I'm actually talking about when I say ask this question, ask that question, untie this knot, then just reach out and I can answer any questions, and we can even book a call.